Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Bennet. Thank you for coming on. We have Bennet Schwartz over here, high performance coach, and he is here to tell us about how to build up the confidence to make cold calls, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to be very interested in hearing about. Welcome aboard, Bennet.
Thank you for having me. A very exciting topic, and one that many of my clients actually come speak to me about. People, whether they're starting out and getting into a business, or whether they might be in a business but they're doing it a different way, and now they have to open up another one of these funnels to really get in touch with people that they have no idea who they are. This is something that I see very common, and I think it'd be very beneficial to your audience.
Great. Okay, so let's start from the problem, which is that if we're looking to build up confidence to make the cold calls, so apparently there is a problem with that. Can you describe that in detail, what that looks like?
Yeah, sure. So many times people will come to a call, and it's really, you can think about it like, let's say you're meeting somebody new for the first time, like you're walking on the street and you see a stranger, right? And you had to ask them a question, or if you had to ask them not just like the directions, but like maybe something a little bit more personal. Maybe you had something you wanted to like even just sell them on something, right? So there's like this feeling inside of us that we get, and there's these nerves, and we have to realize that their nerves are really there to, in my belief, are there to actually help serve us, and they're really there for us to really understand what they are telling us. And many times people look at nerves and they scare them from doing something. Other people look at nerves and they've trained themselves to actually take action on those, and to not necessarily translate them as nerves, but translate that feeling as more of excitement. So it's really, on the one hand, like on the surface level, we're looking, how can I actually walk over to this person? But when you start to dig deep, it's, what is my body feeling right now? Why do I feel this way? And most of the times people feel a certain way and they realize, I don't like this, and therefore I don't want to do what I'm about to do. But many times you realize that that feeling is actually growth, right? When you go to the gym and you're working out your muscles, right? So there's like tension there, and there's feelings in your muscles that you don't necessarily like. But when you're able to do something like reach out to somebody that you don't know, that's also growth. It's just a different type of growth that most people aren't comfortable with because they don't really experience it so much.
So what you're describing is there's a very definite, for many people will say, if not everybody, a very definite discomfort, which is associated and actually wells up inside them when they're thinking about doing a cold call and when they're going to actually go and do it. And that discomfort could hold them back. And that's why they would need to build up the confidence to conquer it. And you seem to already be indicating what the solution is, because what you're describing is like an acknowledgement of the discomfort. And then is it like a pivot in mindset? So what do we do? So let's draw out the scene. The person has the discomfort and he's feeling it. And you're saying that's real, that's nerves, and that's built into us. Okay, so now what happens?
For sure. So what I like doing with my clients is I like really breaking it down into steps, because a lot of times people can't even like dial the phone number to even call somebody, right? So the goals that I set with people, and it's a process, and it's not going to necessarily happen overnight, but if we could start recognize, okay, what's actually going on, if we would look from the outside and really see what's happening, and then we give ourselves, okay, let's give ourselves 2 or 3 weeks right now to just test. Because sometimes people have this pressure, like, I need to close every person that I'm speaking to. But let's say the goal wasn't necessarily to close somebody. The goal was to just dial a phone number. Or if the goal was just to press send or to press dial and to actually just get on the phone, even if they don't pick up. And let's say the goal was, whether they answer or don't answer, you end up leaving a voicemail or you actually start speaking to them. And then let's say the goal was to actually just have a conversation where you can actually offer what you're offering. And then whether they say yes or no, it doesn't matter, because that's not the goal. And then whether they say yes, okay, great, how can we move forward? Then if they say no, okay, great, what can we do with that? So it's really breaking it down into tiny, tiny steps. And a lot of times it's like, okay, like, we're petrified to call people. Let's just start with dialing the phone number. Like, then that's it. Like, let's just put the numbers in our phone
without it even reading.
And, yeah, because that gets people so nervous just to put that in. And if we start doing that, and it usually doesn't take so long, the earlier steps, well, it's like, okay, let's just do that 5 times. Are we going to look comfortable about it? Yeah, sure. Because like, we're building that muscle of just getting more comfortable with it. And most people, and this is just like the basic idea of confidence in general, is that most people think they need confidence to do something, but really what they need is the courage to do something.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference between confidence and courage?
Because confidence comes only after the fact that you've done it so many times.
Mm-hmm.
The courage is this emotion, this feeling that you need to step into the position. So once I step into it, then I could have the confidence that I'm going to be good at it, because you've actually done it before. But
Mhm.
to say that I have the confidence to step into the situation, like, why should you be confident in cold calling? You've never done it before. So it's
So it
recognizing
really
that.
gives you permission to not have that confidence and do it anyways, because we even have the mistaken belief that we're looking for confidence and it's elusive and oh, it's not over there, it's not under the rack. So oh well, I don't have the confidence. And what you're saying, that's okay. You don't need the confidence. You need something else, which is courage.
Yeah, it's courage, or you need to be bold in the moment. And if you say like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to feel comfortable right now, but there's another energy that I need to bring to this situation right now of dialing this phone number," and that's being courageous or being bold in the moment. Like, oh, I understand it's not comfortable. Like that I could do because like that's the expectation. The expectation isn't supposed to be like it's supposed to be like a seamless transition.
Mhm. So in a nutshell, the idea of how to build the confidence to make the cold call. So the first thing we're doing is we're dropping the word confidence out of the equation, because you don't need that right now. That's what you're looking for, and that's part of the problem, that you're looking for confidence and you're not going to find it, right? Especially where you're looking. So we have to take a step back and say, okay, we're not looking for confidence. We are looking for, you're describing a couple of things over here, and I'm trying to break it down. So there's the idea of courage. There's the idea of these micro goals where each one in of itself is, it's pretty hard to blow that. Anybody could get themselves to put numbers into a phone without pressing send. And I guess what you're describing is that's a little bit of courage until you become confident in pushing those numbers in.
Right.
And then you're up to another stage, because okay, I'm very confident that I could put numbers into a phone without pressing send. Now, what about pressing the send? Now that's something else. That's another micro goal. And for that you'll need courage.
Yeah.
And if you do that enough times, then you'll have confidence doing that as well. Is
Yeah.
that how it works?
Yeah, because the more we do it, the more we're going to just build in our mind that, oh, we could do this. We could
Mm-hmm.
do this. And that might take for some people 5 calls. It might take 50 calls for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's where everyone really is on their own, on their own level and understanding. And it's recognizing, that is what we need to be doing, because the more we do the thing that we want to be doing, the better we're going to get it, the more confident we're going to feel about doing that thing.
Now, I'm playing this out in my mind and I'm thinking, okay, great. If I dial the numbers in the phone, so then it stops over there. If I push send, so then am potentially getting myself into an uncomfortable conversation that I don't have even the courage to do yet.
Right.
How do you, even if you could break it up in your mind as like these micro goals, in real life, it doesn't really play out that way, unless, is there a way to do that it does?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a mindset with once you actually dial a call, because our biggest fear is that they're going to say no, or they're going to curse us out, which has happened to me, right? And like, okay, that's like a reality that can happen. But on the other hand, like, there's also the focus of like, hey, I could get them as a client, right? I could speak to them, and maybe it's a call that you're not even pitching something because they're not the right client for you. But we don't know that until we do it. So it's really making sure that we're putting out the things that we need to be doing, and really understanding, okay, what are the possibilities here? And most of the time, it's usually built up in our head, and that's just anxiety in general, in terms of like the fears that are just not really going to happen. So recognizing, hey, I'm supposed to dial this person, I'm supposed to call this person. That's great. I call them. So like, most people are nice, and maybe they'll be like, no, I'm not interested in hang up on you, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But then you went through that, you experienced that, that happened to you. So like, reflect what happened. Okay, maybe I have to make my intro a little different. Maybe I have to and try to tackle it a different, whatever it is. But then you can start strategizing around what it is that you need to be doing to keep them onto the phone, right? To how can I get them into the sale? But those are all things we need to be learning, and the only way to really learn it is once we can actually start doing it. Because you can take as many sales classes as you want, but until you start actually putting it in, and then once you know where your base is, then we can start tweaking things to make it better. And most people are just scared that they're going to get rejected, and recognizing like it's going to happen, especially if you're in sales, and that's okay. And we have to get comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm. So if we would, I guess, summarize in, again, how to get the confidence to make that sales, to make that cold call, get rid of the word confidence, okay? How to, I guess, actually get yourself to make that cold call. So what has to be done?
So I think number one is we have to break it down into the smaller steps.
Mm-hmm.
So recognizing, where is it that you're getting held up? Is it maybe because maybe people they're getting held up on the sales aspect? It's not even calling people. They're okay with calling random people. It's just like they don't know how to transition into from, calling somebody into like the sales, right? Or maybe it's no, maybe it's really, I just have a hard time dialing the phone number. So really breaking it down and breaking that into goals, into certain things that we can actually control. Once we start doing that, then we can actually start practicing and working on it. Like you look at these big, I was listening to somebody and he was saying how like when he was younger, he got advice that like he needs to like reach out to people. And he's like, I reached out to 300 people over the last like 3 months, whatever it was. And it was amazing. And then he like went to his mentor and said, hey, I did it. I did what you told me. I reached out to 300 people. He's like, but how long? He's like 3 months. He's like, I reached out to like 5,000 people like a week. And it was just like, wow, like his mind just blew. And many times in sales, the basic idea is like it's a numbers game, right? So the more people you reach out to, then the more sales you can do. So if you're only reaching out to one person a day, one cold call a day, then like it's only so much you're going to be getting. But if you reach out to 100 people a day, yeah, okay, maybe you'll reach 7 or 10 people that might answer the phone, which you might think that's ridiculous. I called 100 people. But like, okay, out of those 10 people, how many are going to close? We're closing one. Okay, so now we know our numbers. Then we can look back at the data. How many people do we need to call? And how many can we try to tweak it to? Now it's not going to be 1% of the calls. It'll be 5% or 10% or 15%, and it just keep getting better and better over time.
Right. Amazing. Okay, thank you. Any closing statements you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that I think this idea of confidence really comes up in most areas of life that people are not necessarily confident to do something in. So look to break it down into small steps. Look to see what the next step that I could do, that I could get a win on, that might be scary, but where I could be courageous to really take that step. And once I do that, then I could look to constantly build that ladder and those steps to do those things. Because right now, if you would ask yourself 3 months ago, if there's something that you would have wished you would have started to be more confident in doing something, there probably would be certain things that you would want to be putting yourself out there for. So imagine 3 months from now where we can be if we actually start taking those steps. So just think about the future, where it is that you want to be, and then look to just break it down, chunk it down, get more exposure, more experience, be more courageous, and then you'll end up being confident because you've done it so many times.
Phenomenal. Okay, thank you very much again. Once again, Bennet Schwartz, high performance coach. Excuse me. Someone wants to reach out to you. How do they do that?
You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can email me at Bennet@bwschwartz.com. That's BENNETT at BWSCHWARTZ.com. I'm on Instagram and I'm going to be on YouTube soon. So find me there.
Wow. Okay, great. Thanks for coming on.